This moment in history is unlike any other. We are guided by our vision to build a more equitable world for all women. Together, we will pave the way for revolutionary change and a future where all women thrive. When women have economic equity, children, families, communities, and society flourish. IWPR welcomes you to Chicago and the 2024 Power Plus Summit.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, some of my favorite people in this room. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm Jamila Taylor, the President and CEO of the Institute for Women's Policy Research. And on behalf of the entire team, we are thrilled to welcome you to the Power Plus Summit 2024. Yeah. So at IWPR, we are committed to a simple yet profound goal: the full participation of women in society and the dismantling of economic and social inequities that have prevented America from achieving that goal for centuries. That's why the theme for this year's summit is Research to Revolution. This is not simply a catchy slogan, but a call to action to take what we know and advance the policy change necessary to make America a fair and more just nation. A quick reminder before I continue. IWPR is a nonpartisan organization. We do not endorse candidates for political office. We are not affiliated with any political party. We will happily work with any policymaker across the political aisle who is willing to work with us. But a few weeks ago, I was here in Chicago, emotions running high, watching Vice President Kamala Harris accept the Democratic Party's nomination for president. I couldn't help but think to myself, what a moment it is to be a Black woman in America. Now, let me be frank. There haven't been too many instances in America's all too racist and sexist past where such a feeling was even possible. Because they're so infrequent, we have to hold them tightly when they do come. And this was most certainly one of them. There's an already famous photo from the convention. You've probably seen it. It was taken from behind a little Black girl in pigtails, staring straight ahead, watching intently as Vice President Harris delivered her acceptance speech. It's an iconic shot, one that shows hope and promise in that moment. After all the headache and devastation that we have gone through as a people, a young Black girl can finally see someone who looks like her potentially become President of the United States. That girl is Amara Ajagu, one of Vice President Harris's great nieces. But that girl is also Jamila Taylor, a girl whose dream was to become the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. You beat me to it, Justice Jackson. But whose family members depended on public assistance programs. The woman who is a first-generation college graduate, and like Vice President Harris, an HBCU grad from Howard University, but who experienced economic hardship trying to pay for grad school tuition and manage student loan debt on little income. The young mother who devoted countless hours to her studies while also working full-time and trying to find, not to mention pay for, childcare. Nearly 250 years after America's founding, these are still the experiences of young Black girls and women across the country. No matter how hard we work or determined we are to succeed, There are still structural barriers that are forever trying to hold us back. Consider how far we've come, but also how far there is left to go. A Black woman is vice president and may soon be elected president. There are more women serving in Congress than ever before, and representation among people of color has never been higher. Yet Black women account for only 5% of members of Congress and 3% of state legislators. No Black woman has ever been elected governor. 2/3 of women are breadwinners for their families. Women in the United States control $10 trillion in household financial assets, a number that is expected to grow to $30 trillion by 2030. Yet women earn just 82.7 cents on the dollar for what men earn, a mere 66 cents for Black women. This reflects a stubborn pay gap that has persisted for generations. Women in the United States live longer than men on average and make collectively about 80% of household healthcare decisions. Yet the United States remains the most dangerous place in the developed world to give birth. And Black women account for nearly 66% of maternal deaths each year, a situation exacerbated by the fall of Roe, with 22 plus states either banning abortion outright or restricting it earlier than Roe. For all the progress we've made, there are some policy issues that are taking much longer to realize. Family and medical leave in the United States is a top priority for IWPR. One of our major reports is entitled Unnecessary Losses, Costs to Workers in the States of Lack of Family and Medical Leave. The report was released in August and finds that our current system is characterized by a patchwork of diverse private and state-level policies. After analyzing both national and state-level implications for that patchwork system, the report concludes that women and families in the United States lose billions of dollars each year as a result of losses in wages, jobs, and taxes due to childbirth, family care, and illness. We can all relate to that, right? We've all been there. Well, consider this. That report was released in August, but I left out one minor detail. It didn't come out in August of 2024. It came out in August of 1989. Unnecessary Losses was one of the first reports that IWPR ever produced. In fact, it was co-authored by our founder, Heidi Hartman. Nearly 20 years since IWPR's finding, we're still fighting the same battles for families. That brings me back to the summit's theme, from research to revolution. Now, don't get me wrong. Research is in our blood. It's infused in our DNA. It's even in our name. Nobody loves a well-researched, properly sourced, independently verified, peer-reviewed publication more than IWPR. But more research isn't always the answer. There's a whole lot we do know, and even the best studies and reports are worthless if we don't act on them. So by all means, let's continue to document the pay gap, but let's work even harder to close it and ensure that every woman earns a living wage. Instead of debating whether or not to bring back the expanded child tax credit, one of the most effective anti-poverty measures in American history, let's debate how high it should be increased. As I just mentioned, IWPR will keep examining state-level family and medical leave policies, but let's finally create a national paid leave system that includes every worker in the country and maximizes pay and benefits. That's my charge to each of you as we kick off the 2024 Power Plus Summit. Now, our speaker lineup is Hall of Fame worthy, if I must say so myself. In my unbiased opinion, you won't find a more dynamic group of women researchers, policymakers, advocates, or leaders anywhere. Our agenda reflects that powerhouse lineup. How does research drive change? What is needed to build a movement from the ground up? Where will the next generation of women leaders take us? You'll get answers to all of these questions and many more. Each session is an opportunity to learn, grow, and engage. When the summit concludes, we'll all be armed with the tools necessary to stay in touch even after we leave. So please, bring your energy, harness your passion. Don't be afraid to speak up and speak out. Let me leave you with this. For all the hard work that goes into realizing these core policy issues for women and families, I wouldn't trade places with anyone else at any other time. That's true in the literal sense, and being here with all of you at this summit, and it's true in the aspirational sense, with respect to where we are in this moment in history. Like Amara, we're all looking forward, listening intently, with eyes on the prize. Let's seize the moment with joy in our hands and love in our hearts. Thank you all.
Hello, IWPR. I'm Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am pleased to welcome you all to the IWPR Power Plus Summit. This important summit brings together gender equity partners from across the country to discuss core issues in the ongoing fight for women's equality and economic security. From the beginning of my administration, we have worked to ensure better gender equality for our residents. And that is why I am so proud of the work being done by the IWPR and all of you attending the Power Plus Summit. Through your efforts, you are working to ensure pay equity, better child and elder care options, reproductive justice, and more educational and career opportunities. I encourage you all to take full advantage of all of the panels, workshops, and breakout sessions available to you. The ideas and solutions discussed during this year's Power Plus Summit will no doubt make a real difference to countless women for generations to come. I want to thank everyone at IWPR and all those participating in the Power Plus Summit for your ongoing efforts to ensure gender equity for women in Chicago and around the country. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Buenos dias. A little louder, come on, let's go. We're feeling good, we're feeling pumped. I know I am. It's probably the extra coffee I had today. So, first and foremost, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Are we got Latinos in here? Dale. Representando. For those who don't know me, my name is Starr de los Santos. I'm the Associate Director of Coalitions at Women Employed, and a proud, shout out Women Employed. We came deep. And a proud council member of the city's LGBTQ Advisory Council. And I have the absolute honor of representing the Power Plus Summit Host Committee and welcoming you all to our beautiful city of Chicago. So thank you to everyone at IWPR for being phenomenal partners and choosing our city. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Women Employed, we are a Chicago-based powerhouse that has been opening doors and breaking down barriers and creating better futures for women and their families for over 50 years. That's 5 decades of real change, and I haven't been around all 50 years yet. And our mission is simple, but yet mighty, to improve the economic status of women and remove the barriers to economic equity. And we do this through policy change, expanding educational opportunities, and advocating for fair workplaces. When I think of all the major wins Women Employees has achieved, and there are many, I can't help to feel inspired for pushing for more. I'll never forget being first promoted at 23 at WE, and during that offer, my boss at the time told me to ask her for more money. And I thought she was kidding. I was like, what do you mean ask you for more money? I'm fine with what we have. She's like, no, you always ask for more. Yeah. Shout out to Jenny. And that moment, as you can imagine, changed everything for me. Since then, I've always asked for more, and I've always fought for what's fair and just because I know my worth. And I want every single person in this city to know their worth too, especially my queer Latina folks. Because growing up, I didn't see anyone who looked like me, talked like me, or represented who I wanted to be. And I want to be that representation for someone so that maybe one day they won't have to ask for more. It'll just be given. Chicago doesn't just have great food, breathtaking views, and chill vibes. We've got groundbreaking advocates and organizations fighting day in and out for a more just and equitable society. And what makes our gender equity community so special is how we get things done. We build power by working together, Chicago style. At Women Employed, collaboration and coalition building are at the heart of what we do. We partner with everyone, community organizations, labor unions, elected officials, immigrant groups, domestic violence advocates. You name it, we're in the fight with them. And some of our partners are in this room today, so shout out to you. I see you, Wendy, Shriver in the house. Here in Chicago and across Illinois, we're all about taking action. Whether it's fighting for reproductive justice, safety from gender-based violence, access to good jobs, or protections from harassment, we know how to make things happen. And I'm surprised our mayor didn't say that in his video, but if you know him, you know him. But as Mayor Johnson would say, that's what makes Chicago one of the best freaking cities in the world. And don't take my word for it, we got receipts. Paid time off for every worker, yeah. Salary transparency because we all deserve to know our worth. Protections against sexual harassment so every workplace can be safe. A full and fair wage for Chicago's tip workers. Contracts for domestic workers because their work is essential. Pregnancy fairness laws and fair scheduling laws so workers can have control of their time. So shout out to everybody. None of this could have happened without the collaboration and the incredible dedication of our partners. And trust me, we're not done yet. And before I pass things along, I want to give a huge shout out to the incredible host committee members. And I said IWPR loves to collaborate. I said that, right? So in true collaboration, we do have an upcoming event on Latina Equal Pay Day. Please feel free to register, and there'll be more information provided to you all. Now, I could stay here all day, but I'm going to have to pass it on. Without further ado, it's an absolute pleasure to introduce Robyn Ellerbe, the Chief Strategy Officer at the Institute for Women's Policy Research. Robyn, take it away.
Everyone, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You got to be cautious when you're walking on the stage with carpet and heels. Good morning, good morning. Okay, well, thank you, Starr, and thank you, Jamila. These are two hard acts to follow, but I'm gonna do my best. So, as Starr said, I am the Chief Strategy Officer at IWPR, and I wanna both welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. Now, as you heard from Jamila and Starr, regardless of our position, whether we are researchers, policymakers, advocates, or leaders, we each have a personal reason why we're part of the gender equity movement. So I'm gonna share mine. It happened my freshman year at the University of California at Berkeley. I'd tell you the year, but given that I'm still claiming to be 29, the math wouldn't really math, so let's just go with that. But anyway, so I grew up with a mother who's a nurse, and actually she's a director of nurses. Well, she's retired now, but she was. And so what that meant is that I would go to work with her sometimes. And so I loved going to the hospital because I could sit in the dialysis chairs and I would be watching TV, eating snacks, walking around to patients, being encouraging, all of these good things. I was like, everyone loves the hospital. And then it was just like, it's great. It's where you go to have fun. And then when I was in high school. I broke my finger at a ditching party. Don't judge me. And I immediately received care. I got x-rays and an awesome cast that my classmates could sign. And then I viewed healthcare as something that everyone received equally, without question, when needed. Like I did. I was like, this is what it is. And then my freshman year, I took Ethnic Studies 21, and I learned about health disparities, and I was blown away. You see, I have a mic on. Black women in the United States have experienced significant improvements in health during the last century, yet health disparities still persist. Back when I was a freshman, and now, Black women continue to experience excess mortality relative to other US women, including shorter life expectancies, and as discussed earlier, higher rates of maternal mortality. These health disparities are in large part due to social and economic inequalities experienced by Black women. So as a Black woman, who is the daughter of a Black woman, aunt to 2 Black women and 2 soon-to-be Black women, and friend to a host of Black women, I understand that there is a story behind these statistics. That is why I'm committed to fighting for social, economic, and health equity for all women. And that is why I work for IWPR, because IWPR's research is telling those stories and giving women voices. And if we want policymakers to make good choices that help women and families thrive, our job is to make those decisions, make sure those decisions are well informed. And so the intention of this summit is to bring all of us together who lead and live this work, provide us with the opportunity for bold conversations, highlight stories and energize and inspire, amplify Black, Indigenous, people of color voices, but equally important, prioritize well-being. So with that, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. And you can call this the interaction portion of the opening. So first, set an intention for your time here. What do you want to get out of this convening? There's no right or wrong answer. It may be to network with and connect with like-minded individuals, or simply just to feel understood and seen by people who share your commitment and values. 2, we currently live in a time where there are new threats to our health and freedoms emerging every day, as is evident in the Amber Thurman tragic death. But regardless of the chaos surrounding us, I'm going to ask that you allow yourself to be grounded and fully present. As Jamila stated earlier, we have a speaker lineup that is Hall of Fame worthy, so allow yourself to experience it. And then third, this is a pivotal moment for women where we have the opportunity to make radical changes. And while we hope you leave here with energy and drive to push forward, understand that revolutions take time and teamwork. So I'm going to ask that you give yourself grace while you're here. I'm asking that you give yourself grace while you're here, and also when you leave to do your work. As women, we wear a lot of hats, we carry a lot of responsibilities, so we need to be polite and thoughtful to ourselves in order to be most effective in this movement. So, do we got it? We got it? We good? Okay, well, let's get this program started.